And we were assassinated. Great. Hey, what's up? We're gonna be playing some more Democracy 3. Last time we were the US. This time, who should we be? We can be Australia, Canada, Germany, France, or the UK. I think I want to try Australia. Yeah, let's try Australia. I'm leaving everything the same, but I've switched the two major parties to their two major parties. This is their center-left party, this is their center-right party. Okay, so they've got about 22 million citizens, so it's a much smaller country than the last time we played, because we were playing as the US before. Their GDP is not doing well. They have a lot of unemployment, so in general their economy needs help. Crime is completely out of control. Health is in between, poverty's in between, education's doing pretty well. So, let's end this economic crisis. But before we do that, I noticed that they don't have a food standards agency, which is problematic. So we're going to implement this, and then from here we will start increasing taxes a bit just to basically address our deficit, because we can't afford to change policy if we don't have any money. So we have a minor budget deficit right now, but we have quite a bit of debt that we're going to have to pay off at some point. So we're going to increase our tobacco tax, and then we're also next round going to increase our oh no, we already can, alcohol tax. So basically this reduces alcohol and tobacco consumption, which is good because we currently have an issue with alcohol abuse, as well as vigilant mobs, ghettos, antisocial behavior, organized crime, and street gangs. So we have a lot of issues going on right now, as well as homelessness, uncompetitive economy, pollution, and an asthma epidemic. We'll implement a race discrimination act, which basically prevents discrimination based on race, and community policing. So this will help to basically decrease racial tensions while also decreasing crime. We will appoint Peter Johnson because he's popular with foreign leaders, and part of the UN is collaborating with other nations. I'm going to try and also increase our income tax just temporarily. Once we pay off, or once we get rid of our deficit and also pay off our debt, we can decrease that again. So we will not allow stop and search, because that basically sounds like it will be a free-for-all in terms of racial discrimination and racial profiling. We will implement the welfare fraud department, because that will actually earn us a little bit of money and it makes people happy. Our deficit is very minor. It's about 300 million, which compared to several billion, it's not that much. We're going to increase the income tax to 35% from 23, which is quite a large jump, but it's only temporary because we need to have money to fund our new programs, and then once the economy takes off, we can address that and reduce it down. We'll do small business grants, and then we'll do technology grants and rural development grants. So each of those will help grow the economy. We will do rural development grants before technology grants. Let's see, do we have, oh no, we used all of our political capital for that. We have a surplus, which is good, because that allows us to start paying off our debt. And we don't want debt, because then we have to pay interest. So we'll enable technology grants. Okay, so that's really, as far as I can tell, most of what we need to do for the economy initially. So now we're going to start working on law and order. So we're going to increase the amount of legal aid that people get. Jury trial will now be up. It won't be anything because I don't have enough political capital. Here we go. That will be universal. And we will enable extensive rehabilitation in our prisons. So basically that reduces the recidivism rate. So if you invest more, which initially costs more money, but if you invest more in your prisoners and basically make sure that they're actually being rehabilitated instead of just going to prison and then being released, but actually helping them to change and make themselves better people, then they are less likely to go back to prison, which saves money in the long run. So we are going to increase rehabilitation funding. We will set some fuel efficiency standards because we do have a pollution problem and an asthma epidemic. We'll focus on that more in the future, but we need to address crime for now because that is a huge problem. Oh, and conservatives are plotting against me. Great. We will sign the nuclear test ban treaty because we do not need to test any nuclear weapons. We already have them. Okay, now I'm going to implement state health services that are much more comprehensive. Basically, in order to reduce or improve health and end the doctor strike, we are going to ban fracking because there's a lot of environmental issues with it, and it also is linked to earthquakes. We're going to implement youth club subsidies because basically if kids have something to do after school, then they stay out of trouble, and we do have a crime problem. So we do have an economic crisis right now still, so I'm going to try and improve the economy by ending some of the things that are dragging us down. So I want to end alcohol abuse. So we already have a huge tax, but we're going to also raise the drinking age from 18 to 21, which will reduce alcohol consumption as well as violent crime. I'm going to implement food stamps as well, so to fight poverty and make sure everyone's well fed. So we do have an issue with gridlock, so we're going to implement the telecommuting initiative, which basically is like, I think, people working from home? Yeah. So it's like working on your computer. And then I'll also implement bus subsidies to reduce the amount of people in cars. Okay, street gangs have now ended, and someone tried to assassinate us, which is lovely. Okay. How is this coming? So the alcohol abuse situation is about to end, which is good. I would also like to end to organized crime. So I would like to end gambling because that is a huge contributor, and currently there's no restrictions. So we're gonna have to save up a bit. But first we need to replace our welfare minister. I'm still not popular amongst the religious population, which is fine. We're gonna set tougher standards. Basically, factory farming is where you cram all the animals into small spaces, and it's not good for the animals, and it's also not good for people because the animals aren't healthy, and they basically have to give them antibiotics to keep them from getting sick, but then people consume the animals and they also consume antibiotics when they don't need it, and that creates antibiotic resistance, and it's just a whole issue. So we're just gonna set tougher standards. Okay, next round alcohol abuse will be at an end, but before then we're gonna end gambling, except for we still can't. Great. Okay, we're not going to change speed limits because there's no need to, and that will basically increase the risk of people dying in cars. Okay, gridlock is now at an end, which is good. I somehow cannot build up enough political capital to end gambling, so what we're gonna have to do for now is do this. Basically enable lots of restrictions, and then we can work on everything else later. So we're going to implement micro generation grants to help improve the environment and reduce CO2 emissions. Let's see what's affecting our productivity. Okay. We have a good surplus. In just a couple turns we should have our debt completely paid off and start to build up a surplus, which is very good. What I would like to do is continue to improve our economy because we have an uncompetitive economy due to low productivity at the moment. So we're going to improve education and hope that that helps that. Let's see, how's this going? Organized crime is dropping drastically due to our restrictions on gambling. I would like to end it completely, but I somehow can't build up enough political capital at the moment. And the religious people are very mad at me due to prostitution being legal. However, it actually helps to fight crime because when you have legalized sex work, then people aren't. You can regulate it and protect sex workers instead of having them being taken advantage of by gang members or organized crime members, and it's a little bit less shady. We're going to implement free school meals because that's very popular and it fights poverty. We're going to improve state schools by going from modern textbooks to student laptops, which is about doubling the spending, but we need to end our uncompetitive economy issue, so we're going to do that. And then how much does it cost, or how much political capital do I require? So next turn we'll decrease our taxes for income tax a bit because we'll just about paid off our debt. So we now have a technological advantage and organized crime has ended, which is good. So let's decrease our income tax. We'll drop it down to 30 for now. So we still want to keep paying off the remainder of our debt and start to build a surplus and have some reserves. We will allow software patents because they essentially create incentive to develop new software, and without them there's very little incentive. And we now have paid off all of our debt and we now have a reserve, which is extra money. So we're taking in, we no longer have to pay interest on our debt because it's completely paid off, and now we have extra money that we just can keep in a reserve. So if we ever have a deficit, that will be used to pay it off, which is good. So we will implement the hybrid cars initiative, which I think is basically the government subsidizing hybrid cars, which reduces our oil demand and helps the environment by reducing carbon emissions. And we'll also implement clean energy subsidies. And then we'll continue to work on education to end our uncompetitive economy. Okay, so this is our first election since we've been in office, and we overwhelmingly won. Let's look at our breakdown. So self-employed people did not like us, nor did capitalists. Even capitalists, more of them voted for us than against. So, and same with self-employed. So